Sometimes when I'm filming videos at home, I like stir the bowl one direction and then the other direction, and people get really upset. They're like, what is this chaotic stirring? Hi, I'm Yossy Arefi. I'm here today at the NYT Cooking Studio kitchen, and we're gonna make my Nutella banana bread. It's one of the easiest things to make. It's one of the first things that a lot of people learn to make in the kitchen. Everybody has a pile of sad brown bananas in their house. This one is a little bit special because we're gonna brown the butter, and then there's also a Nutella swirl, so it's like chocolatey and kind of more desserty than your normal banana bread. It's really simple to make. You just basically need a bowl and a pan. You can dump everything in the bowl. It's not gonna take a lot of time, and then you have this treat that you can eat for breakfast, or you can have it for a snack, or put it in your pocket for your subway ride to work, or whatever. So the first thing we're gonna do is prep the pan, and I'm gonna take this nice soft butter and I'm gonna brush the inside of the pan until it's well coated. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I usually just use my hands, but I didn't want them to get too greasy. So this is nice and coated with butter, and then I'm gonna put in a little bit of flour. And this is gonna create a nice little barrier so our sticky banana bread doesn't stick to the pan. And then I'm gonna tap the excess out in the sink. You can do it in your garbage can too. So for our dry ingredients, we have some all-purpose flour, some salt, and baking soda. And I'm gonna give it a little whisk. Next, we're going to brown the butter, and I'm gonna turn this pan onto like a medium heat. And you wanna use a pan that has a light colored interior so you can tell when those milk solids are browning. And you just kind of have to be patient here. You don't want to rush it. We're going to let all of the butter melt. It's going to start to kind of sizzle, and when it sizzles, that means that the water is evaporating. And then kind of once it's finished sizzling, the milk solids are going to start to brown, and you'll start to see little brown specks. And you can hear now it's starting to get a little bit quieter, which means that a lot of the water has evaporated. And once the sizzling gets really quiet, that means that the butter is going to brown really fast. So like, don't walk away. Don't do something else, just stay here until you're all done. It smells so good. I feel like after all that crazy popping and cracking, it's like almost completely silent now. When this started to bubble a lot, I turned it down to low. You can also do this in a pan with higher sides, and there's less chance of splattering. I'm gonna give this just another second. It's kind of golden right now, and I want it to be really, really deep brown. This is the hardest part of the recipe. It's the stirring, very labor intensive. So this is looking nice and brown. I'm gonna pour it into a heat-safe bowl so it can cool for a second. And I'm gonna make sure that I scrape out all of the brown bits that are in the pan. You can use bananas when they're like completely black. Some people like to do that, but if they're too far, they kind of taste fermented, which I don't prefer. I like to use a potato masher. You can use a fork, you could use your hands, whatever you want. Hands are a great kitchen tool if you don't mind getting a little messy. And I'm gonna mash these, not like till they're totally pureed. A few little chunks are nice. And I'm gonna add all of the rest of the wet ingredients and our brown butter. Sugar, a little bit of yogurt, which is gonna add even more moisture to the mix, and a little bit of vanilla extract, and a couple of eggs. And then lastly, we're gonna add the butter and all of the delicious brown bits from the bottom of the bowl. And when I do this at home, I usually just mix with my potato masher, so that's what I'm gonna do. It's kind of a whisk. All right, that looks great. And you don't have to be super careful when you're stirring these in. You don't have to like fold very gently, but you might want to start slow so you don't toss all the flour out of your bowl. Okay, and this is ready to go in the pan. So I'm gonna start by putting half of the batter into the pan. And I'm just gonna spread it out so it covers the bottom. And then we have our friend Nutella here. Did you say Nutella? 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 Nutella. 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 I'm just gonna use a spoon and our good friend, the offset spatula. And then once you're dolloped, you can use a skewer or you can use your spatula to swirl the Nutella into the banana bread batter. Nutella. And when you're swirling, try not to push the Nutella all the way down to the bottom of the pan. You want it to kind of sit on the surface. It can kind of get a little bit burnt if it's on the bottom of the pan. And then if you are scraping on the bottom of the pan too much, you're gonna pull up the butter and the flour. That's kind of your little protective layer. So I'm gonna smooth the top of the rest of the batter, and then I'm gonna dollop the rest of the Nutella on top of that. And now I'm gonna take a skewer and I'm gonna swirl the Nutella through the top of the batter. And then this is gonna go in the oven We will know our banana bread is done when it's nice and golden brown on top, and when you insert a toothpick or a skewer into the center, and it's gonna either come out clean like this one, or it might have a little bit of Nutella or chocolate on it when you pull it out. Sometimes your banana bread will get a beautiful crack on top, which I think is very lovely. I let it cool in the pan for maybe 10-15 minutes, and then you can turn it out onto a rack to cool completely. But then you still kind of want to eat it when it's warm, so don't wait too long. Oh yeah, you can see there's Nutella all through the center and on the top.
How do you go about choosing your ideal slice?
Ooh, I mean, so the center slices are a little bit softer, but then the edge you get the crustiness. So I tend to go for a center piece. I like it when it's really soft. And you know, you can choose a piece that's extra gooey if you feel like it. Looks so good. It's not too sweet. It's so moist and tender. You have delicious chocolatey bits. You get a little bit of toastiness from the brown butter. Can't think of anything better for a snack. You can find this recipe and more of my recipes on NYT Cooking.